My name is Roger Buck, and this is a sieve. But before I talk to you about the sieve, I'll just tell you that I'm speaking to you today from the north of Ireland, and I'm the author of 2 books from Angelico Press. The first book is called The Gentle Traditionalist, and the second book is called Cor Jesu Sacratissimum, which is Most Sacred Heart of Jesus in Latin. Now, the 2 books are very different. The Gentle Traditionalist is meant to be a light, popular book accessible for the modern world, whereas my second, most recently published book, Cor Jesu Sacratissimum, is something much more weighty, much more substantial, and probably not that of interest to secular audiences. But both books have a common core, and that common core is trying to talk about the mystery and the miracle of the Church. Now, as I talk about in my books, this mystery, this miracle, completely changed my life forever. But we need to say what we mean by this mystery and this miracle. I'm talking about the mystery of the sacraments. And sometimes I will speak about that being the Catholic mystery or the Catholic miracle. I am aware, of course, that the 7 sacraments exist in the Eastern Orthodox churches as well. But today, I'm in the West, I'm a Catholic, and I talk about the Catholic mystery. My books are also about the fact that that mystery is becoming forgotten. Indeed, the Catholic mystery is being buried. There are forces in our culture trying to make sure that people have no idea what this mystery is. And part of who I am is that it took me 34 years, I'm a convert, 34 years before I had the least inkling of what this sacramental mystery is about. So my books are also about the fate of the Catholic Church in the modern world and how the world is trying to bury the Church, and how even the Church itself, tragically, even the Church itself is in danger of losing this mystery. And this, my friends, is where the sieve comes in. Okay? Now, you may well recall that famous Indian novel, Nectar in a Sieve. I don't have any nectar today, but I do have maybe the next best thing, which is some organic Irish honey. And as mad as it seems, we're going to see what happens when you pour honey into a sieve. Let's see. You see, the honey starts to come out very, very slowly. It doesn't come out all at once, it doesn't gush out, but it comes out slowly. Now, what does this have to do with the mystery of the Church? As you've probably imagined, the nectar, the honey, is a metaphor for Jesus Christ. And the sieve is intended as a metaphor of the state of the Church in the modern world, the tragic state of the Church. Because we know in faith that Christ, the God-man, becomes present on Catholic altars, also Orthodox altars, in every liturgy, in every valid liturgy and Mass. We know this. And there are 400,000 priests in this world, Catholic priests. And we hope that those priests, unless they're infirm or ailing, are celebrating the Catholic Mass every day. So that means we would hope that there are at least a couple of 100,000 Masses being celebrated every day on this planet. In my book, I say it's like the beating of a planetary heart, this incredible miracle of the Mass. But it seems to me, and I've been pondering this for 17 years since my conversion to the Catholic Church in the year 2000, that although our Lord Jesus Christ is really present in those masses, something is going wrong. Something is being squandered. Something is being dissipated. So that is what the metaphor of the sieve is about. And now I need to come to something that could be a bit difficult for some Catholics, good Catholics, even painful. I need to speak about the new Mass. So the new Mass in the local languages, whether that's English, French, Chinese, Japanese, whatever. The new Mass, the Novus Ordo, as opposed to the old Latin Mass. Now, I'm not someone who wants to get very bitter and bash this new Mass. I really don't want to do that. I know that the new Mass can be celebrated with dignity and beauty, and I have known and seen all kinds of beautiful, gorgeous priests all over Europe, really, who are celebrating this Mass with reverence and dignity. But I need to sort of tell you about a story, about how I've come to a perspective I want to share with you. Yeah, basically I said all over Europe. I've traveled a lot. I didn't actually say, but I'm an American, although I'm an American of English parents, so I belong to both England and America. And in the last 17 years, I've done a lot of traveling around Europe since I became a Catholic. And I'm also a daily Mass goer. So the consequence of that is that I have literally been daily Mass goer, traveling through Europe. I have been to thousands, literally thousands of Masses in different languages, day to day, often day to day in different parishes. And this is why I want to say something that may not be obvious if you're this person in a parish and you've been in the same parish all your life and you just have this gorgeous, lovely priest who's saying the new Mass with dignity. You may think, what's all the fuss about? Why are these people, fussing about the old Latin Mass? So that's the context I want to give you. Basically, I had to struggle with this question of the new and old Mass for many, many, many years. It wasn't easy for me. But as the years went by, as I was going to daily Mass in the new Mass, I began to see the most incredible abuses. Or even when I didn't see outrageous, incredible abuses, I realized how many priests, I'm sad to say, were saying the new Mass in a very sloppy, even slovenly way, utterly irreverent. And this process has really led me to see that the Latin Mass, this incredible Mass which evolved over centuries, doesn't allow for that kind of sloppiness. It forms a better container. That's the image that I've come to. So here again, I have the image of the honey and the sieve. Yes, our Lord Jesus Christ is present in every valid Mass. The honey of Christ is there. But the sieve, when a Mass is celebrated sloppily, or indeed absolutely awfully sometimes, it's like the people aren't focused, the priest isn't focused, and I feel something is dissipated, something is lost. So when I speak about this metaphor of the sieve, I am speaking about the state of the Church, but I'm also, and it pains me, I'm also talking about so many, 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 many liturgical abuses. Again, I know that there are beautiful priests celebrating the new Mass beautifully, but overall, the new Mass seems to me to be a container that is too leaky. It's leaky. Anyway, this is a big, controversial subject. I think what I really want to do is simply refer you to the words of a man, far more profound than me, far more wise than me, who really understood that the crisis in the church today has so much to do with liturgy. And the man that I'm referring to is our last Pope, Pope Benedict XVI, and he's actually speaking here as Joseph Ratzinger when he was Joseph Ratzinger. But here's what he said. The ecclesial crisis in which we find ourselves today depends in great part on the collapse of the liturgy. But lest all that sound dark or despairing, I want to finish by saying some very positive things about my hope. First of all, I am in no doubt that the church will rebound. People who don't know history don't know this, but for 2,000 years since St. Peter, the first pope, the Catholic Church has just rebounded again and again and again. People who don't know about the history of the 4th century with the Arian crisis don't realize how profoundly the church rebounded. People who don't know the Dark Ages don't realize how much the Catholic Church rebounded. Or at the time of the Protestant Reformation, the church became stronger than ever in whole new corners of the world. But there's another very personal reason for my hope and faith in the church. And it relates to the fact that I'm a convert. And this is another theme of my books. I talk about my conversion experience. And moreover, I'm a convert who had 20 years of experience in the New Age movement. I actually lived for a while at the Findhorn Foundation in the north of Scotland, which many people would say is the most famous New Age community in the world. In fact, there's a Vatican document that speaks about Findhorn as being one of the 2 major powerhouses of the New Age in the beginning, along with Esalen in California. So I really dedicated close to 20 years of my life to the New Age. And really I sort of thought, like New Agers do, that there was this universal spirituality, that you could have spirituality without religion, and that anything was possible in the New Age, that you could find anything you wanted in the New Age movement. And then, around the time I was 34, I had a miraculous experience that completely changed things. There's no time to go into it now, I go into it in the book. But I saw that there was something beyond. After 20 years in the New Age, I saw that there was something that I had never tasted once in all my years of spirituality without religion. I entered the Catholic Church, 36, year 2000, and the experience just goes deeper and deeper, year after year, Mass after Mass, day after day. The Catholic mystery gives me something that I never found at Findhorn. I never found, I was in Jungian psychotherapy, I was into anthroposophy, I was into all kinds of esoteric, alternative spiritualities. I never found anything like this experience. I remember a sort of New Age woman I once know, and she said, "What did the Catholic Church give you, Roger?" And I said to her, "Humanness." And she didn't know what I meant. But anyway, so there's many more themes in my books. I've mentioned a little bit that I've done a lot of travel. So the book has quite a lot about Catholic France, also Catholic Spain, England. It's almost like a quasi-travel log. But also my time at Findhorn, Scotland. But really, there's Ireland where I am now. I go into Ireland in both books, and Ireland is something that has become something incredibly, incredibly precious to me. There is a Christian and Catholic quality in the landscape here, born of 1600 years since St. Patrick came here, 1600 years of incredible devotion. There is something so deeply precious in this land. I've lived in both the south and the north. I've been here 6 years. I'm incredibly moved by the Irish people. This is a culture that, unlike anywhere else in the Anglosphere, unlike England, unlike Canada, unlike America, was just completely steeped in the sacraments. It was steeped in them. People went to Mass every day. People went to confession, often weekly. And it's just incredibly in the bones of the Irish people. Now, this doesn't mean that, like any other people on this planet, there are not fallen and terrible things that have happened in Ireland, but the good just rips my heart out. I can't. The community spirit that still persists in Ireland, although it's been destroyed by globalization, is something. I've lived in something like 9 different countries, and I've really never come across any people like the Irish. So my books are also about my passion for Ireland. What I will finish by saying is another major theme of my books. Basically, although I converted in the year 2000, it wasn't until I got to a little place in eastern France called Paray-le-Monial, where in 1673 Jesus Christ appeared, revealing his Sacred Heart to a saint there. And the cult of the Sacred Heart was born in France and then spread right across the Catholic world. You don't hear about it much in America, the cult of the Sacred Heart. Don't hear about it much in England. But if you come from Latin America, or Ireland, or France, or Spain, all these parts of the world that English and American people like me don't know much about, you realize that this cult of the Sacred Heart was incredible. And in the chapels of the Sacred Heart in eastern France in Paray-le-Monial, I received grace after grace after grace that deepened my faith, and really also very much deepened my belief in these traditional devotions, like the traditional devotion to the Sacred Heart. These things are precious parts of the Church. So my books are not only a call for the healing of the liturgy and the recovery of the Catholic mystery, but I'm really also very much talking about the devotion to the Sacred Heart of Jesus. I'm talking about the sacramentals. These things are things that need to be recovered. In Ireland, for decades, there was times where every Irish home, well, maybe not every, but 90% of Irish homes would have had holy water. They would have had holy water in the home. And Irish people would have crossed themselves with holy water every day. These things have effects. This is why Ireland was so very, very different from any place else in the Anglosphere. Anyway, to draw to a conclusion, these are the kinds of things that I go into in a great depth in my book. This is the new book, Cor Jesu Sacratissimum. It's a great deal about the New Age, a great deal about Catholic cultures like Catholic Ireland, Catholic France, a great deal about the crisis in the Church, the crisis in the liturgy, and also, of course, the absolute miracle of the Church. I also talk about my conversion here. But it's a big book, 482 pages. I'll just make a little mention of my first book. And this is The Gentle Traditionalist. And it's much slimmer. And it's a very easy read. It's the kind of thing that people could read in a lengthy afternoon. It's also the kind of thing that people can give and actually are giving to their secular friends, and actually finding that their secular friends are responding to it. It's intended to be a very simple presentation of many of these same issues. I sometimes call it a comic book version of the big book. Anyway, that's all for now. If you want the books, of course they're on Amazon, but you can also find them at the website of my publisher, Angelico Press. That's at angelicopress.org. And maybe I just say a final word about Angelico Press. Really, I'm so moved by this company, not just because they publish my books, but because they are publishing so very many fine, intelligent, insightful books that seem to me so relevant to the crisis in the Church today. So if you care about the crisis in the Church today, I recommend that you go over to the Angelico Press website, take a look, and There's great stuff there, but you'll also be supporting something really, really important. So that's all I'm going to say. Thank you for listening.